So we've covered two conditional statements so far. We've covered if and we've covered else. In this video, we're going to use if and else along with another one called else if. And else if is used to check something else. It's like a second if before the else is executed. So if I go and run through an example, it'll probably make a little bit more sense. So in the last video, we used a number and we said if the number was less than 101, that it was a small number, and if it was bigger or equal to 101, that it was a big number. So we're going to do something similar here again, and we're going to set our num to 50, and we're going to check to see if our num is less than 50. We're going to say it's a small number, and we're also going to have our else statement, and the else statement will just be if the number is 50 or greater, it's going to say that it's a big number. So let's go and just run this to make sure that it works. So we can see that this says that it's a big number because it's equal to 50. But if it was 51 or more, it would also be a big number. Or even if it was 151, it's still a big number. But if it was less than 50, so if it was 49, and we run this, we can see it's a small number. Or if it was an even smaller number, like 9, we can also see it's a small number. But we want to do an extra check. We want to see if our number is a different type of number. So we want to check to see if our number is a special number. We want to see if our number can be divided by 5 evenly. So we don't want any remainders. So to do this, this is where we can use an else if. So to do an else if, we type in elif along with our colon and then whatever statement we want. So we want to check to see if our num, and we're going to use the modulus sign, by 5 is equal to 0, we want to go and print out saying that this is a special number. And I just need to move that colon from after that else if to after the 0. So if we run this again, we get our output as a small number, and that's because 5 does not divide evenly into 9. If we had a number that 5 does divide into evenly, like 90, we should go to this if statement, check to see if it's a small number. If it's not a small number, it should look at this. If 5 can divide into it with no remainder, a special number will be printed out, else it'll print out a big number. If we run this, we should get the special number printed out. So you can see we get special number printed out. But what if we had something like this? If we had a number like 10. Now 5 can be divided by 10, but we're not going to get this special number printed out. We just get this small number, and that's because we're checking for this small number first, and then we're checking for this. So if the number itself is small, this is already going to be executed. So it's going to go inside this if, it's going to print out this small number, and this here, this else if and this else is never going to get a chance to even look at the numbers. It's just going to print out this and skip the rest of them. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're using an else if. So for example, if we wanted to check for a special number before we made the decision on whether the number was small or big, we would want to go and put this logic here inside of our if statement, and then put this if statement logic inside our else